Hey there, thanks for clicking on the video. My name's Luke.
I'm Chris.
And we are the Creative Criticals. Roll that intro.
Rolled it.
We rolled it.
We did. Yeah, so A Quiet Place Part 2. I'm going to start this video off by saying that if I sound like an out-of-work country singer, it's because my allergies have been going off the last 2 days. We live in Louisiana, which I don't know what that really has to do with allergies being specific.
I mean, we live in the swamp.
We live in a swamp, like literal swamp.
Yeah.
So my nose, I've only been here for about 6 months, so I guess I'm still getting used to a lot of the gators and stuff. Because that's what causes that.
Them gators?
Yeah. So that's why I sound like this. I don't have any other sicknesses or anything like that. So, but yeah, Quiet Place.
A Quiet Place. You would have a tough time living in that world with these allergies.
Yeah, I would be dead. Thankfully, they were all in good health throughout the movie.
Right. Thankfully, they didn't have no deathly disease.
No irritable bowel syndromes or no situations like that.
Oh man.
Yeah. So one of our favorite things about the movie was the sound design, and I think one of the biggest features of the movie is what John Krasinski does with sound in the movie. What are some things that you remember that stuck out the most about sound design and stuff in the movie?
So we just did a video, a more polished review, where we talked about some of those things that I thought were great, and I'll just briefly touch on them again. I loved how when at the very first of the movie and throughout, every time there is the most minor noise, minor sound, it's amplified and it's loud. So from the start, no matter what's happening, whether it's him at the grocery store with the things on the shelf or it's any of that stuff, you're always on the edge of your seat because you're always thinking that could potentially kill you.
Yeah. Which sound is gonna make
which sound is it that's gonna cause it, and so you're and I thought that's one epic thing about the sound design. I also love how they switch in between Millicent Simmons' perspective. I think her character's name is actually Reagan, but they never say their names.
Yeah, I don't even remember
Yeah, but they switch between her perspective and what's going on outside, and that's always terrifying because when it goes quiet, you don't know what's happening, and then you can put yourself there.
Yeah,
that's how she's living in this world.
Yeah. I saw in an interview too afterwards. I kind of looked up into some stuff with Millicent Simmons. So Krasinski talked to her parents and said, so can she actually not hear at all? And that's not exactly true. She can hear very low volumes, very low, and more like the bass of sounds. And now that I remember in the movie, you do kind of hear you almost feel like a little muffled, and you feel like the pressure of things happening.
So if you could imagine hearing something's not right, these are not the normal sounds that you would hear, but you don't know what it is.
Right.
So it is really terrifying to picture that or imagine that.
That's horror movie gold. Is to have that kind of thing.
Yeah. I thought with the sound design as well, there was times with the creatures, so you can hear their hearing. Yeah. So whenever they zoom in on the creature's ear, you can you what it's hearing, and I don't know how they do that. The sound design was really good with the creatures. Yeah. And you could hear that whatever that little noise is. It's terrifying. The
click.
Yeah, the clicking.
Yeah, it's very unsettling. And the way they look too. Yeah. I don't know if it's just the patterns of the things on their faces that move around and stuff. I just did not. It made me uncomfortable.
Yeah, yeah.
But yeah.
And I gotta say, so we went, me and my wife and my brother-in-law and her siblings, we went and saw it on Memorial Day in a standard showing. So and so I'm gonna go ahead and say this in this video, it's better in IMAX. It's not significantly better. It's still a really great movie, and the tension's really good, and it still was enjoyable. But the sounds are so much more pronounced in the IMAX version. It's because you've got the Dolby surround sound system in there. Like those sounds, there were times I can remember from the start to the finish, I was nervous the whole time
In IMAX?
in IMAX because every sound was so loud. Like when the creature would throw someone, that was loud.
Yeah.
Like when anything was happening, it was so loud. So in the standard, it wasn't quite as loud. I don't know how much of it was that I'd already seen it, or I honestly think that the sound design was better in the IMAX.
Sure.
Like it was worth seeing in IMAX.
That's why you pay the extra bucks
Right.
to get that.
Yeah. But it wasn't like, I'm not saying it was significantly better. It just dropped off a little bit. Like the scares didn't have the same punch to them because it wasn't as loud and it wasn't as big.
Right. I think some movies you can kind of get away with enjoying it as just as much, watching it at home or watching it on a standard theater. But I mean, this movie, the biggest character is sound.
Yeah.
So I think that's a good reason to go see it in IMAX.
And being on that big screen, it really did make it like larger than life. So it like put you there. And there were certain times where like you'd see one of the creatures do something, and you see the full like extent of what he's doing.
Yeah.
And so on the standard screen, it lost a little bit of that, I don't know, punch.
Yeah.
That's the only way I know how to describe it.
Not as much in frame.
Right, and I don't know a whole lot about how things are filmed and how things are, like the technical jargon of it, so I don't really know like why it's like that.
I'm not exactly sure either if he used an IMAX camera.
Right.
I'm not exactly sure. I know like Christopher Nolan is pretty known for doing that, and then that transferring to a standard theater, like if they use a separate camera or is it just like formatted for? I'm not really sure. Something to look into.
Yeah, it still held up as far as the story and the tension and everything that was going on. It held up in the standard showing, but
so you've seen it twice.
I've seen it twice now. Yeah. Yep. Yeah. So I guess that kind of covers sound design. What about the visuals?
The visuals were very powerful, just as much a part of the story as the sound, because the movie picks off literally right where the first one left off.
Right.
And I think Krasinski did a good job of maintaining, the same universe. You feel like you're really picking up right after.
Yeah.
The continuity was really strong with everything in the camera and with the baby. I can't remember how long it's been since the first one came out, and then COVID kind of delayed everything.
Right.
The age difference, I don't know if it's just a good makeup team or what.
The boy, he looked a little older. Whoever Noah plays, just slightly looked older. But yeah, the continuity did. They even recast the young boy that was killed by the rocket. So if you notice, you go back and watch it. I noticed it on the second time. You never see his face.
Huh.
They only show the back of his head.
Okay. Interesting.
But yeah, they did a good job of picking up the continuity. It did look like it was next day.
Right.
Right after it ended. So one thing that I thought was stunning was seeing the comet or whatever it was coming across the screen.
Yeah.
While they're at the game. It looked cool. I was like, oh man, that looks scary. Yeah, we should probably all leave.
Right. Have you ever seen Cloverfield? I don't know if you've seen it.
No, I haven't seen Cloverfield.
It looked a lot like a specific scene in Cloverfield. If you've seen it, you know what I'm talking about. At the very end, when you see the comet coming down. I always love movies like that.
Right.
Like War of the Worlds, like the calm before the storm.
Yeah.
When you see that things are about to happen. I love that tension.
Yeah.
Because I think we all secretly, even with like zombie apocalypses, we all secretly are like, it'd be kind of cool if it happened.
Right.
What? Bro, what are you talking about, man?
Right.
To have to run and like survive. I was like, I don't want it to happen. But yeah, that shot of it through the sky and the choice to be a baseball game and interrupt it, like that's just, it was really cool.
Yeah.
Really cool shot.
Yeah, I thought that was pretty realistic when that starts coming across the sky. All the parents just start grabbing their kids and leaving. I'm like, yeah, that's probably about what would happen.
Right.
It's time to get out of there. Well, so one great thing, this we're getting off of visuals, but it's okay. That first day, so, and we're gonna get into spoilers too, because we're just this in depth. We're just talking through it. The first day that they show, all of that stuff where Emily Blunt's in the car and they're driving backwards, that's all real. So I was watching some interviews and stuff where he said basically that bus was coming 45 miles an hour at the car, at his wife. He says, as I walk back to the camera, I'm like, did I just put my marriage in jeopardy? But that's all happening real. And he said, thankfully, it was one take. Thankfully, because it was happening real, he got a pretty real performance out of his wife.
Yeah.
But so she wasn't actually driving either. There was
Probably on tracks or something.
No, there was a stunt driver on top of the car driving. Ooh. So they had disabled the steering wheel, and there's basically like a roll cage go-kart thing on top of the car, and the stunt driver's driving the whole time.
Okay.
So those people are really flying out of the way. There's cars really coming. That's all like really happening. So that's why she's got a really,
that's a
really great performance.
Not only is it coming at you, but you really don't have control.
You have no control.
Like, I hope this dude does his job.
Yeah. So there's a
baby in here too.
Right.
Oh no, there wasn't yet. There wasn't a baby in the car.
No,
yet.
not yet.
That's
no.
right.
There was an interview that I watched where he was saying basically before that scene started, she looked up at the driver and was like, "My life is literally in your hands," and he just looked back and said, "I'm the best." And it's just like,
okay.
All right.
We'll see.
He's pretty confident.
Yeah.
So,
what about the bus? Was there like someone driving the bus?
He didn't explain the bus. I don't know.
I don't remember in the shot if you could see a person in the bus driver's seat. Not really sure.
They might have.
I would assume
taken them out.
Yeah, maybe they. Yeah, I don't know. I would have to look.
Yeah. But he was also explaining that first scene. There's one spot where there's a stitch, but that all is continuous.
So when he's getting out of the truck.
When he's getting out of the truck,
yeah.
Right. Mm-hmm. It's really well hid, but you like unless you know to look for it, like you don't really see it, and it's not distracting.
Until I saw that video, I would have never picked up on it.
It's the only thing. Everything else was continuous, and so it really does feel like you're following his character from the store to the game, and it really does feel like this is all happening in real time.
Right.
The visuals of the monsters, or the aliens, or whatever they are, the creatures, they were more front and center in this film than the first one, so you got to see them more, and
a lot more.
they were more intimidating because they showed a lot more of their action. So like you saw them running a lot more, and you saw they're way more athletic and like vicious,
ruthless.
I feel like the first one you kind of got that, but and they did show them in the first one, but there was more of the stealth and the being quiet, and they're hunting you down. Well, in this one, you saw them
broad daylight.
Yeah. You saw them pouncing on people, like being vicious and ruthless and fast and really, really terrifying.
Yeah, just carnal.
Right.
Emotionless.
And they don't give up either. Like that's all. It's like all they are programmed to do is kill anything that hears.
Okay, right. Which I wonder. I know. Again, big spoilers. Mm-hmm. The end of the second one really lets off for another sequel,
right?
A part 3. I would like to see more into like the motive, maybe not direct motive, but kind of the backstory of the aliens or whatever they are. Like if the sound is torturing them, like hearing that sound, if it hurts, and they're just like wanting to take out. Like I don't ever know if you've ever saw Beowulf or the red Beowulf. So the creature, I can't remember his name. But he slaughters everyone in the first 10 minutes of the movie because the sound hurts his ears, and so that would make more sense. Or is it just like we want to kill you just because we hate you, or they want to steal their resources? What, I don't really. I
would like to see, even if it's like a spin-off or something, I'd like to see a background of the creatures, even if it's like a short, like
Just something. I trust Krasinski to do that.
Right, just like a
Briefly.
let us know what these creatures are, and even if they don't, the story is focused on these people living underneath this threat, so they don't know anything about these creatures. So
Yeah.
we don't have to have that, but I would love to. I would love to see it.
Inside.
Like, cause what if? There's just my creative brain growing. Like, what if these things have been programmed by something else?
Right.
Like, whether these are creatures that are created by something else to, and programmed to kill.
John Hannon from Jurassic Park.
We can have a whole space. I don't know.
Space Force.
Like, yeah, we can have like a whole get Space Force to come take care of these people.
Yeah. Who knows?
Yeah.
Yeah, so what about some of my favorite things about the movie was how some of the characters fleshed out and are still fleshing out, because again, there'll be a part 3.
Right.
But what about, some of the characters, especially the indirect ones like Emily Blunt?
So I liked what they did. They kind of flipped it on its head. Like the last movie, parents are fighting for their children, trying to hope their kids survive, and the kids are scared and kind of bratty and kind of disobedient and stuff like that throughout the first film. And in the end, there's even the line where Emily Blunt says her name is Evelyn.
Evie,
Evelyn.
I'm not sure.
She tells him, Lee. I remember his name, Lee.
Yeah.
She tells them to protect their children, and who are we if we can't protect them? And like, it's a big theme in the first one, protecting your kids. Well, they flip that on its head in this one, and it's the kids who end up ultimately protecting the adults. And so I like seeing her character kind of took a little bit of a back seat in this one, but that feels realistic because she's got a newborn.
Right.
And so it's kind of like you really see her motherly instinct throughout the movie. Like, she tells Cillian Murphy, "Go get my daughter because I can't leave the baby." And you've got, she's relying on other people to help her. So, like, I liked her character, but I really loved the character development with Millicent Simmons and Noah's character. I like both of their character developments.
For sure. Again, Krasinski, he did a great job of torturing you with just common things.
Right.
So torturing you with sound, and like when Noah steps into the bear trap, and I know that must have really hurt.
Yeah.
And I can't imagine how bad it hurts, but you need to shut
Yeah,
up.
you need to shut up, but he's a kid and he can't stop
He's
screaming.
also a kid, and it's like he's torturing you with these things that in a normal world, your kid steps in a bear trap, you're like,
Right.
oh my gosh, but your creatures are also coming, so.
Right. And the attention to detail, like what loud noises will set off a baby screaming. So
Yeah, then the baby starts crying.
Baby starts
and I'm
crying.
like, this is like just a normal family crisis, but with aliens,
Right.
like coming at you.
And not forget, you got a sniper looking at you.
And yeah,
So we're-
hoping Cillian Murphy's not a psycho.
at that point, we at least think there's a sniper.
Right. Yeah. But again, that leads into the character development with the kid is, he's had such a rough time. In the first one, he was anxious, and this one, he was in pain and just scared. And then, same as Millicent, Millicent Simmons' character, they really go through some changes, but then have this triumph at the end of where they step up and take care of mom and take care of Cillian, and it's not cringy.
No.
It makes perfect sense. And it was just a really good moment. And you can tell Krasinski really loves his kids.
Yeah, and her character is more confident, and it was in the first one too. Her character is kind of fearless, but you wonder if maybe part of that is because of her disability, that she it's maybe
A strength.
confidence and also ignorance of what's going on around you. And so it's able to help her be fearless. But you also notice there's a difference between her character and his character. Noah, Marcus, I think is his name. His character is fearful from the first movie all the way into the second one. You saw him step up in a big way in the first one by firing off the rockets. He stepped up in a big way
when he needs to.
When he needs to, and you see that again in this movie. That I think that's like a part of his character, is he is afraid and timid and cautious, but when he needs to step up to protect his mom, especially both times it was his mom
and the baby.
He needs to help his mom and the baby. He steps up and takes care of them. And so I want to see how, if they keep playing with that, if they do another one. I'm talking like they are going to do another one just because it lends itself to a third one. Like, there's still more story to tell here.
Adding on to Millicent too, I think a lot of the first one, her disobedience and standoffishness came from standoffishness. That was German with a little allergy mixed in.
Standoffishness.
9. A lot of the first
one. I'm gonna cut these little moments like this into like their own little video, and we're gonna use that as an intro.
But yeah, so a lot of the first movie, Millicent Simmons' character, she felt like the death of the other kid was her fault.
Yeah.
And felt like that tension of, my dad hates me, my dad feels like it's my fault, she feels like it's his fault. And then at the end of the movie, he does the I have always loved you.
Right.
And so I think that kind of translates into part two, is she's kind of made peace with that and realized that her dad did love her.
And there's something else that I noticed with that storyline too in this one. So you got day one, you see she wants to go with her dad. Like they're getting in the truck together.
Dad's a girl.
And they're sitting on the bleacher and they're like joking with each other about his hands being gross and things like that. And then in the first movie, you jump to, it was like 3 months after that.
Mm-hmm.
She blatantly disobeys him and gives the rocket to their brother, which, so you could say, like, there is you could say it was her fault if you wanted to make that argument.
Right.
And so
she contributes.
Right, she contributed to it, and so then you see their relationship a year later. You obviously, throughout that time, there's a lot of possibly finger pointing,
tension.
I'm sure he didn't like blame her,
right,
outwardly, but you can see that their relationship got, and so I thought that was a really realistic portrayal of like a relationship within a family over a year. It's just like you go from being, well, and it obviously had to hurt her because she was close to her dad and now thinks that her dad stopped loving her. And so then you see kind of a motivation why she wants to be like her dad in the new movie.
Yeah.
And I thought that came full circle when Cillian Murphy told her that line where he said, I'm not like him, but you are.
Yeah.
So that was good.
Yeah, speaking of Cillian Murphy, I think we both kind of at first, his character, we were like, I don't really know about this guy, because it seemed like he was going to be the cliche guy in post-apocalyptic movies where they've kind of given up, and they lost some family, but then eventually they're like, you know what, I'll do something for these people to kind of redeem myself, and then they die.
Right.
I thought he was just going to be another one of those characters, not predisposing Krasinski of doing something like that. Right. It was just, it seemed like that's where
what it felt like.
Yeah, where it was headed. But he comes around for sure. You really get the heartbeat of why he thinks the way he does.
Right.
And he was in the movie a whole lot more than I thought he was going to be. He was a big part of it.
I think that they wisely, I think Krasinski did a good job of saying, let's make a connection with them that's like a friendship that exists before the movie, because it gives him a reason to be there more than just like being that character who they like. If it was just some dude, then it doesn't have as much going for it as it being a guy that they were very close to, a family friend. And I know that I watched an interview of both of them where they talked about John and Cillian both spent a lot of time talking about the character and the backstory of the character. And so there's a lot that we don't even know about the character that they've fleshed out already. And I know that John Krasinski said Killian came in with a bunch of notes on his character. And so they tweaked and changed a lot about him based off of Killian's ideas.
Wow.
So he kind of had a huge part in writing his character.
Yeah, it was good to see him because he doesn't just pick any movie. Like he's pretty picky. What it seems like he is. Great actor.
Really great.
Yeah. So. There it is. I've been waiting for that this whole video.
We were gonna die.
Yeah. Is there really anything else that kind of stood out to you?
No, I think we've gone pretty. I mean, I'm sure I could talk for a long time. When we work together in the guardhouse at our school, we'll sit up there and we will talk for hours about a movie. So we could go on, but I think we've done a pretty much covered all the bases.
For sure.
So
yeah, I think in the last video we forgot to give our score.
We didn't give our score.
Yeah, because we can jump on tangents sometimes.
Yeah.
So we wanted to give a score. If you had to give this movie a 1 out of 10, not give it a 1 out of 10.
Yeah.
What's your score?
So, oh man, it's hard for me because I love this movie, and I actually liked it better than the first one. Can't remember what score I gave the first one, so like being consistent is gonna be hard. I don't think it was a perfect film. There was a few, I guess, minor logical things, but those were such a they're so minor that it would be such a nitpick to even point them out.
Yeah.
So I think I'm settled in around a 9. It was pretty much as good as I could expect from a horror/thriller, and I think it was better than the first one. So I'm gonna go with a 9.
All right. I think for me, when I think of like giving something a 9, there are just specific movies that do stick out in my head. That when we do talk, that I know I'll do that because a lot of it's nostalgia and a lot of it that contribute. But for this movie in and of itself, I can confidently give it an 8.5.
Yeah, I actually really just love this whole world that he's created. So one of my favorite film franchises actually.
It's pretty great.
Yeah. And it's solidified in my mind that if John Krasinski's gonna make a movie, I'm gonna go see it.
Oh, no doubt. Yeah.
Yeah.
Hopefully, it doesn't go all in, not Shyamalan.
Yeah.
So,
hey, we've got a new.
fingers crossed.
We've got a new one from him to be on the lookout for.
Oh boy.
So anyway, yeah, we'll see you guys in the next one.